Tory MP Lee Anderson's "fuck off back to France" comment shows government trying to distract from failings, says Labour's Yvette Cooper. Labour condemns Lee Anderson's language as Tory MPs continue to defend him for saying asylum seekers who do not wish to be housed in barges should fuck off back to France. I see no issue with this statement. Labour has accused the government of ramping up divisive rhetoric to distract from failures on immigration after it backed Lee Anderson's "fuck off back to France" comment. Yvette Cooper, the Shadow Home Secretary, told Sky News the remarks were clearly wrong, I don't think so, and that instead of promoting division, ministers should be getting on with sorting the problems out. Yeah, like sorting out the problems of illegal migrants coming over here, because this is the thing they don't tell you. Everybody thinks it's just young fighting age men, and never women or children. It's weird that it's all young fighting age men, and everyone's like, "Oh, it costs £10,000 to come over." How's that little guy getting £10,000 in his very, very poor country? Well, it's because in his jacket are firearms and drugs. That's why. And then they meet up with the gangsters over here, and then they hand them over, and that's how they pay their tab. That's how they pay the bill. And basically, because the human smugglers know where their families are located back home, they have to do it, right? So it's not just migrants coming over in those boats. And the reason those guys are coming over in the boats instead of going through the usual process is because they've already been rejected. See, the guys that get caught, they've already been rejected because they either had a massive criminal record, or they were connected to terrorist groups, or they were connected to organised crime, and that's why they got rejected. So they had to like sneak in instead. Oh, but you should just let them over. And it's like, oh, why? They're coming in illegally because they're scared. No, it's not. It's because the proper channels rejected them because they're a dangerous person. That's why. And you're like, yeah, the boats are coming over. And then, yeah, you won't be saying that when you're 9-year-old. Just going to stop there. I'm not going to continue that joke. Tory Deputy Chairman Mr. Anderson made the comment about asylum seekers after it emerged that about 20 of them were granted a last-minute reprieve from boarding the Bibby Stockholm accommodation vessel on Monday. I don't get the barge. I don't understand why the barge is a thing. Like, see, when it first came out, I know that hotels were basically getting bought up everywhere. What's happening is they're taking hotels, they're going to the owners and saying, rent out all of your rooms to all of these illegal migrants, and we will pay like double or higher than the cost of the rooms are, and for years and years and years. So basically, monumental taxpayer expenses for people who have never in their life contributed to the British tax system. So basically, the tax system is operating at a massive deficit right now, and that's what they were doing with hotels. But now it's like, no, we've built a barge. Why? I don't understand. Why the barge? Like, people are like, this barge is terrible. And I'm like, why did they build a barge? Why is there a barge? Like, it's just so, it's just cut the ropes and, right. Oh, that's not funny. Don't do that. Don't do that. What was that anime thing that was on fucking Netflix earlier with the fucking high rise that's floating out at sea? They were trying their hardest to be Ghibli. They didn't really get there. It was okay, not great. It was okay. His use of the F word has been backed by Downing Street. He said fuck based. He can say fuck. The government the government officially endorses fuck. And several senior Tories who said he was expressing the frustration of the British public, and the British public certainly are frustrated, that millions and millions of their taxes are being used for these people who are over here illegally. Asked if that is an appropriate phrase for a politician to use, Miss Cooper said, no, it's clearly wrong, and this is ramping the rhetoric to distract from the fact that the government is failing. Instead of promoting division, what they should be doing is getting on with sorting the problems out. Rishi Sunak's plan is just not working. Just stop them coming over. That's how you stop the problem. Stop them coming over. If you come over here illegally, you will be arrested, you will be jailed, you will be fucking given all these kinds of penalties, and then you will be immediately deported. And like, as soon as, like, maybe not even keep them for a sentence, just fucking go, no, you're away, bye. Dump them back in Calais. Because France don't want them. See, when it comes to Calais, France are like, and letting them come over here, right? I would go straight back, dump them on the shores of France, and pure go, you baguette munching fuckers. Here's your fucking migrants back. And I stop them fucking leaving. They let them go through because they're like, oh, as soon as they're off our shore, they're not our problem. They're letting them come through to Britain. France aren't doing anything about it. There are people smugglers literally operating openly, like approaching guys like, travel, 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 like going up to them, and France are doing nothing about it. They're operating out in the open because France wants rid of them. Miss Cooper said that despite repeated pledges from the government to stop the boats, the number of channel crossings in June and July this year were higher than last summer, and there are also 10,000 more people in hotels. Citing Labour's plan, which includes scrapping the Rwanda deportation scheme and funding a cross-border police unit, Miss Cooper said that what we need to do is go properly after the criminal gangs that are making huge amounts of money from the dangerous boat crossings, and also clear the asylum backlog. The criminal gangs, like I said, are operating openly in France. France allow them to operate because it helps get rid of their problem. That's what Labour would do. We've set out a new fast-track system to do that so we can end hotel use, the barges, the military bases, all of that, and get back to a proper functioning system. Labour has been seeking to hammer the government on immigration failures, particularly the backlog of the asylum system. The way Labour plans to do that is just go in, and that's what they plan to do to clear the backlog. They're not going to review cases, they're just going to let them in. Amid accusations from Tory MPs that lefty lawyers linked to Labour are sabotaging the government's small boats plan. On Tuesday, Shadow Transport Secretary Louise Hay told Sky News it was nothing short of risible to suggest an opposition party that has been out of power for 13 years can be blamed for the current problems. I mean, in regards to public perception of, like, in Glasgow I see signs everywhere like, refugees are welcome here and stuff like that. Well, one place that I've seen, I noticed that they had a window smashed and then the sign wasn't there anymore. But it wasn't the window that had the sign in it that got smashed. I don't know. I wonder what happened. It was either a right winger or a refugee done it, and the guy and the area he stays in, there's a lot of those. So maybe it was that. I don't know what happened. It was a shame their window got broke though. If the window got broke because of the sign, I'm against that. Freedom of speech. To suggest an opposite... I've just read that. On Monday, just 15 migrants entered the Bibby Stockholm following legal challenges to stop others moving onto it. The floating accommodation off the Dorset coast is one of several sites being used to reduce reliance on expensive hotels, but transferring migrants to the vessel has been mired in difficulty and delays amid safety concerns and local opposition. The barge will ultimately house 500 single men, but that is less than 1% of the 170,000 people waiting for their claims to be processed, and Labour says that it is currently being used in addition to hotels, not instead of. Mr Anderson admitted on Tuesday the government had failed on immigration as he stood by his comments, and they absolutely have. They've absolutely failed on it. He said his use of the F word was born out of frustration at those objecting to go onto the barge, and he would not be apologising. But asked if the Conservative government had failed to tackle illegal immigration effectively, Mr Anderson told GB News, "We have failed on this, there's no doubt about it," which is absolutely correct. And that's not the end of the article. The UK has the most comprehensive plan in Europe. It's always us, if you noticed. However, Immigration Minister Robert Jenrick said he did not agree with those remarks, even as he backed Mr Anderson's "fuck off" comment. He told Sky News Lee was expressing was the... I think it's meant to say what Lee was expressing was the deep frustration of the British public, not just the numbers of people crossing the channel, but the apparent refusal of some people to accept perfectly decent accommodation. However, asked if Mr Anderson was speaking for the public when he claimed the government policy was failing, Mr Jenrick said, "I don't agree with that." He said a returns agreement with Albania had led to a 90% drop in people coming from the southern European country, while deals with France have helped intercept migrants on beaches, and a new partnership with Turkey has just been announced to crack down on people smuggling gangs. I've read a little bit about that one. They're cracking down on the gangs, but as for returning people, they're not returning people. And so, on each and every front, we are working intensively, he said, and I genuinely believe that the UK has the most comprehensive plan of any European country to tackle this issue. Well, the unfortunate thing is, this is the Conservatives who have not really conserved anything for a very, very long time. So yeah, I believe it. Fuck off back to France. Fuck off back to wherever the hell you were from. Like I'm at a point now where I don't care. I don't care now. But it's a case of, Like, you sound like the racist uncle at the dinner table. Nah, I don't like the fact that we have a system based on public social services that are based on the tax contributions of the people throughout their life who use those services. Then you're dumping shit tons of people who have never contributed into the mix, and everyone's like, why is the NHS crumbling? This is why. This is why we have more people than the NHS is able to deal with, and not only more people who have never contributed into the tax system that pays for the NHS, which is how the costs of the NHS are calculated. Anytime we get any random person just coming over on the boat, that is a deficit. That is a tax deficit. Basically, the money all goes into a pot, but when more hands are taking money out the pot than there are hands putting money in, then that causes problems. Basically, it's a fuse. Like, the fuse has been lit, and when the crash happens, oh, fuck me, it's going to be a fucking crash, right? And also, the people coming over in the boats, they're smuggling in weapons and drugs, right? How do you think that they're paying for their fucking... It costs £12,000. How is the little random man from Afghanistan coming up with £12,000? How's the little fucking sheep farmer, the goat farmer, coming up with £12,000? It's because he is smuggling stuff over to pay his bill, right? That's how they fucking pay it. Right, it's just an absolute fucking joke. Oh yeah, let them over. These people, I'm done entertaining these fucking idiots.